All right.
Gentlemen, I have an announcement to make. I am Jean Culpepper, and I directed tonight's play. Now, the circumstances surrounding tonight's production are a bit unusual. You see, I was flattered when Mr. St. John, the one who wrote Murders in the Heir, as you can see on your programs, Heir is spelled H-E-I-R. Get it? Anyway, I was flattered when Mr. St. John asked me to direct his premiere production. But, you see, it was a work in progress, and he made rewrites throughout the entire rehearsal period. And it put quite a strain on me, the playwright, and the cast.
You got babbling.
Quiet, Joel! Actors should be unseen and unheard until the show starts! Now, as I was saying, you see, the show isn't quite finished. Don't worry though, don't worry. The show must go on, as somebody once said. I don't know who said it, but I sure like to get my hands around your throat. The show must go on, and the cast, crew, and I are here, and we're determined to give you a great show, even if it kills us. But that's a bigger speech, of course. Now, that brings me to why Mr. St. John isn't here tonight. He, suffered from what I hope to be is a temporary breakdown. He's currently under heavy sedation in a nice room with tablecloth. Some people get all the luck. Anyway, that brings me to telling you about the show. Now, this show is a murder mystery. And you see, Mr. St. John couldn't decide which character he wanted to be the murderer. So he wrote multiple endings in which various characters were the culprit. And we performed all of them for him, and he still couldn't make up his mind. And as it grew closer and closer to show night, the tension in the air, that's A-I-R, grew so thick you could cut it with a knife. But that brings me to why I'm standing here with you tonight. If you look in your programs, you will see a ballot of sorts. Now, on that ballot are names of different characters who you get to decide is the killer. You will all vote for which character you think murdered someone who will be dead by the end of this act. And we will count the ballots, and the cast will perform the ending that you chose. Now, at least that's how it's supposed to go. It got kind of confusing during rehearsal period.
It's a wonder we didn't kill the playwright.
Quiet! Now, I think that's everything. Well, I saved myself a seat in the front row, so I can follow along with the script in case things get shaky. Which they won't! Just in case. Are you ready, cast?
As ready as we're gonna be.
Then let's do this. Lights, places!
Nancy, please. You know Mr. Starker
Mr. Starkweather's asthmatic condition makes the merest mote of dust potentially lethal.
I served as Mr. Starkweather's housekeeper many years before you came here, Miss Withers. I don't need you to tell me how to do my job. You brought the coffee?
It's right here on the table, Mrs. Trent.
Then go back into the kitchen and help Minerva with the rest of the refreshments.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Starkweather requested to have everyone present in the drawing room at 8 o'clock sharp. I'll ask Bensonhurst to fetch guests from their rooms.
Mr. Starkweather will be ready. I'm coming, Mr. Starkweather.
I got done parking all the cars in the garage like you told me.
As I told... Oh, why waste my breath? Oh, don't you be water all over the floor. Why did you enter through the front door, Rufus? I told you a million times, servants never enter through the front door.
I reckon Mr. Bensonhurst, I forgot. Besides, it's raining out there.
And I am obviously aware of that, Rufus. But it looks as though it's raining in here, thanks to you.
You're welcome.
Drag out the way you came and maneuver yourself around to the back door. Do you think you can possibly manage that, Rufus?
I don't know, but I was going to find out.
Final guess, young Mr. Simon arrives. I'll decide so he can talk his talk.
Oh, good. While I wait, I'll sit by the store and see my grocery bills.
Oh, don't be impertinent!
How can I be if I don't know what that means?
Oh, just do as you are told. Go around to the kitchen and wait there until I call for you. Not that way, Rufus. Have we already forgotten that we were told to go around to the back door?
No, but I was hoping you had.
That man's an idiot.
I heard that.
Where do you want me to put this one, Minerva?
Put it on the coffee table. Careful with it.
Yes, ma'am. I think everything is ready.
You think wrong. Put the cups on the saucer so all we have to do is pour the coffee.
Yes, ma'am.
The others are coming down to join us soon. Miss Van Zandt informed me Mr. Starkweather wants the servants to be present as well.
He wants the servants here.
Precisely. Even Rufus. Had I been informed of that fact sooner, I would have ordered him to take him back. He's been in the rain, parking cars all day, so perhaps that will help.
Well, if you ask me, no slut wouldn't help.
Oh, be that as it may, I shall summon him and Miss Trent.
Why would Mr. Starkweather want the servants to be here?
Let me pull out my crystal ball and tell you. Remember when I told you exactly when you started working here?
Yes, ma'am. Do as you're told and don't ask questions.
Exactly. Stick to that.
I will, Minerva.
Oh dear, I never know what to wear on special occasions. I suppose Uncle Simon invited us here is a special occasion. Evening,
I suppose so, when you consider most of the time you treat us like lepers.
you think he treats us like jungle cats?
Not leopards, mother, lepers. Oh, forgive me, you look fine.
Thank you.
I'll tell you one thing, if we should ever inherit this mausoleum, the first thing we'll do is call the Adamson and let them know it's on the market.
Counting chickens, are we?
Minerva, we didn't see you and your attractive young helper there.
Nancy is a nice girl. I planned to keep her that way.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean.
I doubt that.
I don't understand.
I believe that. Sit over there. Would you like me to bring you a coffee?
Coffee, that sounds wonderful. It's a little damp in here.
Well, it's a lot damp out there. How do you like your coffee?
Mother prefers hers black. I like mine sweet. I'll flavor it myself.
Whatever.
Oh, what lovely hors d'oeuvres.
You're your delicious. Let's
looking very pretty tonight, Nancy.
Thank you, sir.
Sir? That makes you feel as old as Great Uncle Simon. Call me Jordan.
She'll call you Mr. Starkweather like a proper maid should. If anybody else calls you otherwise, it'll be me. And you don't want to know the name I'm thinking of.
Minerva, you never change.
Neither do you. Pity. Go sit over there with your mother.
Yes, Drill Sergeant.
Kathy, darling, I don't see how y'all can stand living out here in the boonies, away from all the fine restaurants, movies, and shopping centers. Well, I'd get so depressed, I would just sit down and weep.
It's not that bad, Paula. I stay here during the week and go to my apartment in town on most weekends.
I am so relieved to hear that.
I worked for a large corporation before Mr. Starkweather hired me to be his personal secretary, and believe me, this position is much nicer.
Look what we have here. 2 rays of sunshine to dispel the gloom. You look beautiful, ladies.
I swear, Jordan, you are a rogue and a charmer.
Won't you join us?
Actually, sit over there. It'll be safer. I'll bring you some coffee.
Thank you, Minerva. I take my class.
Oh, load mine down with lots of cream and sugar. I must admit, I have an enormous sweet tooth.
That probably explains that corn syrup accent.
And how are you this evening, Cousin Fiona?
What? Oh, I'm fine. Thank you.
That's just peachy. I swear, I don't know why we don't get to see more of one another. It seems like the only time we get together is for somebody's funeral.
Well, aren't all funerals for somebody?
Shame on you. Don't be morbid, Cousin Jordan. I'm glad this week's an exception to the rule. For once, nobody's dead.
So far, anyways.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's okay, honey. Didn't spill any.
What did you mean by that remark, Jordan?
Oh, nothing. It's just that when you called to tell us that Great Uncle Simon wanted Mother and me to come to Starkweather Mansion for the weekend, at first I assumed you were going to say he had passed on.
You wish.
I started to pack my new black dress.
It was a natural assumption. I mean, he's up in years and in bad health. I was relieved to find out the old boy is still with us, of course.
Captain Darling, I bet you know why Grandpa Simon desired our presence this frightful evening. Come on, tell.
Miss Van Zandt will go into particulars, but I believe Mr. Starkweather wishes to discuss his will.
Really?
Oh, stop drooling over the hors d'oeuvres.
Why, you misjudged me, Minerva. I was surprised, that's all.
Where's Cousin Simon? Shouldn't he be here too?
When I contacted him last week, he said he could make it. Apparently, he's going to be late. If he's tried to call here tonight, we couldn't get through. The phone lines are down.
Well, if we're going to talk about the will, he should be here. After all, he is Cousin Simon's only grandchild.
Yeah, and he'll probably get everything.
Excuse me! Yes. Yes, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, you're doing great. Really fun. But listen, I was talking to Mr. St. John, and we both agreed that these family relationships might get a bit confusing. And he was working on a scene to explain everything. But he, snapped like a rubber band. So, I'll explain everything. Now this here is old Simon, the billionaire. Now you'll meet him very shortly. Now, old Simon married late in life, and he had one son, Simon Jr. Now Simon Jr. was married, and they produced Simon III, the college student who's late to the program. Now, Simon's wife, Simon Jr., and Simon Jr.'s wife are all dead. Now, let's move on to Paula. Now, Simon's eldest brother, Paul, he married and had one daughter, and her name was Bella. Bella married Lucian, an Atlanta businessman, and they produced Paula here. Now, Lucian, Paul, and Bella are all dead. John. He married and produced Ezra. Ezra married Fiona here, and Fiona and Ezra had Jordan, but you already know him. And Ezra and Simon's youngest brother, his wife, and Ezra are all dead too. Now, I realize that's a lot of dead people. But listen, if I would have had the cast and move all those people around the stage, it would have looked like a marching band had stepped into a living room. And it was already hard enough moving all these people around. But listen, that makes Paula, Jordan, and Simon the third or second cousin, maybe? I don't know, something like that. I don't know how that works. But that's all, folks. I hope you got that. Continue.
We don't have the foggiest notion where we are.
I'm not even sure who I am anymore.
Braxton,
Huh?
give them their cue.
What is it?
And he'll probably get everything.
Who will?
Your cousin, Simon!
Oh, I got it. Yeah, and he'll probably get everything.
I'm very pleased with your investigation, Mr. Davis. I'll be glad to recommend you to my other client.
Just doing my job, Miss Van Zandt.
Good evening, everyone.
I know we haven't met yet, but I've got a pretty good idea who you all are. Mrs. Starkweather and her son, Jordan, right?
That's right, Mr.
Davis, call me Mike.
From what Miss Van Zandt just said, I assume you're some sort of detective?
You got it, pal. Private kind.
I see.
Who's this nice young man, dear?
He's a detective, Mother.
A detective?
How exciting! Do you know Jessica Fletcher?
Oh, no, I do know who you two ladies must be, though.
If you're a private investigator, I'd be surprised if you didn't.
That accent settles it. You're Paula Thompson.
You're 100% correct. I can't deny I'm from the deep south.
If she came any deeper south, she'll be in Central America.
So that leaves you to be Kathy Collins. It's nice to finally meet you in person.
Me too, Mike. Mike and I have corresponded for some time now by mail and fax, on Mr. Starkweather's behalf.
Is this seat taken? No? Oh, pardon. And I expect you to remain unobtrusive.
I sure will, just as soon as I find dictionary and look that up. Just go sit over there by the fire and keep quiet, please. By the fire? Oh, good. My backside is kind of sudden.
Keep an eye on that, please.
I shall do my best.
If all is in readiness, Miss Van Zandt, I shall inform Mrs. Van.
Yes, thank you, Benson-Hurst.
There's coffee if anybody else wants some.
I can do some when I walk up.
How do you take it?
In camp!
Keep still! Miss Van Zandt, I understand Great Uncle Simon has asked us here to talk about his will.
Yes, frankly, I didn't think it was a good idea. His health is precarious at best, and he does need the added excitement. I advised him to communicate with you all by mail, but he insisted on summoning you to Starkweather Mansion. Frankly, I only hope he doesn't live to regret that decision.
Mr. Starkweather is coming in to join us very soon. Can I move now?
Make your word, Mr. Starkweather?
Go.
I'll be right here if you need me.
To think I was once surrounded by presidents and kings. Can my world have shrunk to this? A handful of relatives and a meager staff of hired help. Simon, where's my grandson?
We presume he's on his way, Mr. Starkweather.
Can't wait for him. Not enough time anymore.
You're looking good this evening, Uncle.
Are you blind, boy? That's an habitual liar.
I was only making pleasantries, Uncle.
Save your breath. You've always been a smooth talker, Drew, but that doesn't cut any ice with me. You're nothing but a greedy opportunist, boy. I ought to know. I was one myself at your age.
Then I guess it runs in the family.
You have a point. Well, Fiona, you look the same.
I do? Why, thank you, Uncle Simon.
That wasn't necessarily meant as a compliment.
Oh, great Uncle Simon. You're awful.
At my age and with my money, I can afford to say exactly what I think. And I do. And how's my little Georgia peach?
Little old me? Why, I'm just peachy, Uncle.
Hi, Mayflower. Mr. Starkweather, would you like some coffee?
You mustn't have any. The caffeine would keep him awake and could affect his blood pressure. His medication is causing him to go mad.
Apparently I won't be having any Minerva. You heard my keeper.
Yes.
Everyone aspires to live to a ripe old age. And for what? To be kept alive by medicines and machines. To be prevented from enjoying so much of life's little pleasures. Like a cup of coffee!
Decide yourself, Mr. Starkweather.
You see, I'm not even allowed to feel any strong emotions.
That's a bummer.
You put it very succinctly, Rufus. Old age is a bummer. I could have searched my vocabulary extensively and never come up with such an apt description. Bummer.
Glad you like it.
According to my doctors, I won't have to remain a prisoner in this weak-old body much longer. There's only one thing I hate to leave behind. My money.
Well, you know what they say, Uncle. You can't take it with you.
Yes, that's what they say. So several years ago, I had Lois here draw up my will. I suppose you'd like to know how I provided for you. My heirs.
Well, I, for one admit, I'm just a teensy bit curious.
A teensy bit, eh?
I was afraid something like this would happen. Here, Mr. Starkweather, breathe deeply. See what you've done?
Me? I didn't.
Somebody call an ambulance?
We can't, the phones are dead.
It's all right. He's just lost his breath. He needs to breathe pure oxygen for a few moments.
This is the will Mr. Stark was referring to. As you know, he has been a fairly successful businessman for many years.
I'll say he's been on the cover of Forbes magazine at least a dozen times.
I never read it.
Mr. Starkweather has the distinction of becoming one of the world's first billionaires.
20 years ago, I begged dear Ezra to ask his Uncle Simon for hands with his investments. But he was too proud.
Yep, Dad had his pride. Lots of pride and very little money.
If I may continue, Mr. Starkweather's fortune is now in the neighborhood of $50 billion.
I wouldn't known that. I would have asked for a raise.
I won't go into the details of the will, but it essentially bequests $1 million to each of his household staff. They are Mr. Bensonhurst, his butler, Miss Trent, his housekeeper, Nancy Pollard, his maid, Minerva Walker, his cook, Miss Withers, his nurse, and Rufus Jones, his handyman.
Forget the raise.
The rest of the money is to be divided up equally among his surviving heirs. They are his grandson, Simon Starkweather III, his niece, Fiona Starkweather and Jordan, who will share 1/3, Paula Thompson, and his great niece, Paula Thompson.
I always knew you'd do right by us, Uncle.
I knew you got Simon, well, you two must have agreed on one thing. Blood is thicker than water.
I bet Miss Willis can tell you that is.
Now that I told you the contents of the will, I have another announcement to make. As of tomorrow, this becomes invalid.
What does invalid mean?
It means no good.
Oh, I got a brother that's invalid.
It means we're not going to get the money, you fool.
Oh. TV out thinking about it after all.
Sit. You too, Lois.
Why did you decide to disinherit us, Uncle?
Found a better use for my money, that's why. Oh, I didn't cut you out entirely. All of you in the old will get $50,000 each.
50,000 out of 50 billion.
Lois advised me it would be a good idea to leave you a little something. That way you'd be less likely to contest my new will.
It will.
Yes, that's why I asked Kathy here to stay over at Starkweather Mansion this weekend, to type it up nice and legal for my signature. Mr. Davis, as a disinterested party, will witness the signing. Lois will file it at the courthouse come Monday.
Mr. Davis said he's a detective. What did you hire him to do?
Mr. Starkweather hired me to conduct an investigation on the quiet. For the last 6 months, I've flown to a dozen or more foreign countries to check out some of the world's most brilliant scientists. Some well-known, others who prefer to keep their experiments hush-hush. I succeeded in finding one in Belgium. Let's call him Dr. X, who agreed to do what Mr. Starkweather desires, which is... to clone himself.
I assume our meeting has concluded, unless anyone has any questions.
I do. What the heck was that all about?
It's simple, Rufus. Critical Simon was going to leave us all a fortune, but he changed his mind. Instead, he decided to clone himself.
What does cloning mean?
It means to take some cells from a person's body and create a duplicate of the original.
They can do that? That's great! Maybe when the old Mr. Starkweather passes, maybe I can get a job working for the new Mr. Starkweather.
The new Mr. Starkweather will have to be born and grow up. It goes against the laws of nature. How?
The rest of the fortune will be put into a trust fund, which I'll administer. Once Dr. X has created the new life, the cells will be implanted into a host mother who will carry the child to term.
Host mother? Who?
Me. Why not? I'm young and healthy. I'll make a good mother for little Simon.
How could you ever consider being a part of
This is travesty.
I'll be well compensated. And besides, have you ever known anyone else to give birth to a baby billionaire?
Uncle Simon's giving his fortune to a baby?
In a manner of speaking, yes. As I said before, the money will be transported into a trust fund, which I'll administer. Ample funds will be provided to provide for Kathy's needs and the child's upbringing and education. Once the child's been raised and properly trained in the dealings of my finance, the fortune will be turned over to him.
The kid will look, think, and act like Simon Starkweather. He could conceivably parlay those billions into trillions by the time he's an old man.
And for what purpose? To leave it to a clone and then another and another? Where will it end? When there's Simon Starkweather with enough money and power to rule the world?
We didn't discuss it, but you very well may be right.
How could you condone such madness? I can see why. Miss Collins and Miss Van Dam will look like millionaires off this Mr. Starkweather's money. Money that should have gone to us! And his family, of course. And since you're part of the scheme, you'll probably get rich too.
Not me. I did the job I was paid to do. My part's over. I'll take my very generous check and go home. Frankly, I don't care if the boss's science fiction experiment works or not.
You should be ashamed. You should all be ashamed.
Ladies, I think you've made your point quite clear. If you and all the other servants will join me in the kitchen, I wish to have a word with you. We'll clean after you've finished. I suppose you'll ring if anything is needed.
Might be kind of nice here, a little bit of powder of fever on the house.
Oh, shut up, Rufus!
Kathy and I will go up to my room and start working on the new will. I can show you how to put it in the proper legal terms.
Sure, Lois. The sooner it's finished and signed, the better.
Hey, wait a minute! How come nobody asked me if I wanted to carry the baby? I could do it just as well as she can.
You're Mr. Starkweather's blood kid, Paula. It wouldn't be proper.
I guess that would be kind of tacky.
Proper? You're about to conduct an experiment that makes Frankenstein look like an amateur, and you're worried about being proper?
Cool it, kid, before you burst a blood vessel. Mr. Starkweather's made up his mind, and I get the feeling that whatever the old man wants, he gets.
Succinctly put, Mr. Davis. Kathy?
I'll go upstairs and pack. After I witness the signing of the will tomorrow, I won't have any reason to hang around. Night. We were robbed!
We were?
Yes, Mother. Uncle Simon dangled a fortune in front of our noses and snatched it away.
That was mean!
Mean? The man's a monster. You saw the evil glint in his eye. He enjoyed pulling the rug from under our feet.
At least he's leaving us 50,000.
To him, that's no more than tossing a dime to a beggar. And he only did it to keep us from breaking his new will. You heard him.
Yeah!
I wish you were dead. I wish the old goat would drop dead tonight.
It would serve him right!
If Uncle Simon did die tonight, then we'd get all of our money, wouldn't we, my dears? Would anybody care for a game of bridge?
A penny for your thoughts? That's all I can afford now.
Mr. Starkweather,
It's Jordan, remember? At least when Minerva the dragon lady isn't around.
I thought everyone had gone to bed.
I was going to turn in, but then I got an urge for a midnight snack.
I'll fix you something.
Never mind. What are you doing up?
Mrs. Trent sent me in here to make sure that the fire screen is properly closed, so no sparks pop out until 11.
And burn Starkweather Mansion to the ground? Maybe that isn't such a bad idea.
How could you say such a thing? You know Mr. Starkweather's an invalid. How could he...
You read my mind.
Jordan!
Got you to call me by my first name.
You mustn't suggest such a thing. It's wicked.
Why should that surprise you? Everybody knows I'm the black sheep in the family. If it happened tonight, you'd have $1 million and I'd have billions. Think of all the good times we could have together.
Don't.
It's a tempting thought, admit it.
It's not. It's a horrible idea.
Which part, getting the money, or you and me together?
The part about the money.
What about us?
Nancy! I thought you were going to help me in the kitchen with the dishes.
I was just checking the French doors, Minerva, to make sure that they were locked.
Oh, I see. And what are you doing here?
I came down for a midnight snack when I saw Nancy. I stopped for a little chat.
Oh, that appetite of yours is going to get you in trouble someday.
Minerva, what are you doing with that knife?
Oh, the knife. Oh, I was just mincing onions.
At midnight?
Oh, I can't stand how people see me cry. I thought it hurt so much that I came and took it out. If you're hungry, come with me.
Yes, Minerva. Anything you say, Minerva.
Finish sticking in here and give me a hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Come on.
Rufus! Oh my God, I heard someone in here.
It was just me.
Good grief, man. What are you doing with that axe?
Oh. So it's like this. I remember chopping the wood for the fire this afternoon. Although it started raining, I didn't put the axe back in the street. I think this memory is a lot like it. But when it came to me where I put it, I figured I'd bring it inside to clean it off so it don't rust. You know what I mean?
This is fine and all, but why bring it into the front room? And how many times do I have to tell you, servants never enter through the front door?
I butchered you what I ain't counting.
Oh, Rufus, I swear you'll be the death of me yet. Go into the kitchen and have Miss Trent give you a towel.
I ain't wet. It quit raining.
Rufus, to dry the axe.
Oh.
Wait, no, not that, wait, not that. Oh, and he's gone. I swear, if he had any brains, he'd be dangerous.
I heard that.
A penny for your thoughts.
Jordan, I just came down for a breath of fresh air. What are you doing up this late?
Munchies, want a cookie?
No thanks.
So, did you and Miss Van Zandt finish the new will?
Yes, it's all ready except for Mr. Starkweather's signature. I see you've calmed down. I wouldn't blame you if you hated me.
Why should I hate you? I'd make the same deal if I were in your shoes.
I'm sure you would, Jordan.
Minerva was right. Being the mother to little Simon is the next best thing to owning the buildings yourself. But aren't you forgetting something, though?
What?
The little type will need a dad. Someone to mold him into the perfect replica of great Uncle Simon. A heartless, money-making machine.
You think so?
I know so. And who's a better father figure than I? You're a very attractive woman, Kathy. And I think we can mix business with pleasure.
Take your crummy hands off me.
What?
You're getting cookie crumbs on my blouse. And by the way, forget it. If I decide little Simon needs a father after he's born, I'll pick a suitable husband then. I don't know who he'll be, but he won't be a sleazy, money-hungry slime ball like you, Jordan.
I could kill you, you witch!
I wouldn't try if I were you, not with a detective in the house.
Aren't you finished in here yet?
I need to make everything all right.
Well, hurry up, girl. Minerva wants you in the kitchen.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't dawdle. Someone left the French doors open. Miss Thompson?
Miss Trent, you gave me a fright.
I suppose I should be grateful you didn't shoot me. find anything you need in there, unless you want to rub it with Crisco. Do you have to carry that thing around with you?
Oh, I take it everywhere I go. Daddy taught me how to be a crack shot when I was 10. A girl can't be too careful.
Well, I don't suppose you have anything to worry about here at Starkweather Mansion. It's miles from the nearest town, and no one ever comes out this way.
You've never had a burglary or a prowler?
No.
You know, since Grandpa Simon's so sick and all, it's a wonder somebody hasn't tried to steal something. Anybody could just break into those French doors and walk into his room and do who knows what.
Like shoot him.
Well, it could happen, as terrible as that thought is. But in his condition, how could he defend himself?
Well, he could sick Nurse Withers on them, I suppose. She should frighten away any intruder.
Oh, you're just awful. But you know what? I wouldn't want to tangle with the woman. Where does she sleep?
And the room beyond Mr. Starkweather, so she can hear him if he rings for her in the night.
Let's see. If I remember correctly, when Mama brought me here when I was a little girl, that room used to be a library, and that one beyond it was a parlor. Am I right?
That's correct. When Mr. Starkweather became too ill to go up and down the stairs, the library was converted into a room for him, and Withers took the parlor.
Oh, I was just curious.
Excuse me? Look, now I told Mr. St. John that little scene and that little dialogue there was a bit awkward, and I suggested that we take it out. What? He said that you needed to get a layout of the Starkweather Mansion. He said, what do you want me to do? Put a blueprint of Starkweather Mansion in the program? Which I thought was kind of rude. But he insisted that I leave it in. So I did. But I wanted you to know that it's a bad piece of writing, and I tried to fix it. Continue!
I want you to know that if you do that again, you're going to have to bring that script up on this stage and play Miss Trent yourself.
I'm sorry. God.
Ugh, that's great. I wish I had your nerve.
Where are we? So you're curious about the layout of the house, are you?
Yeah. I was just curious.
You know they say, curiosity kills the cat.
Yes. Well, if you'll excuse me.
Wouldn't it be ironic if someone did break in tonight, of all nights,
Do I have enough? Oh dear.
Miss Cooper!
Nearly frightened me to death.
My apologies. Might I ask what type of pills you've just strewn about the room?
Digitalis. For my heart. I have a heart condition.
Digitalis, doesn't that speed up one's heart rate?
Oh yeah, our heart's just pumping away. Maybe I should take two.
Perhaps the single dosage will be sufficient enough. I assume an overdose can be fatal.
Extremely fatal. Or am I just being redundant? I suppose fatal is fatal, just like dead is dead. Don't you agree?
Completely. One cannot be deader than one else. Dead longer, perhaps, but that's the only comparison that might come to mind. Just out of curiosity, might I inquire why you brought the pills into the living room?
Why? Why, that's a very good question. I brought these pills to see if Miss Withers had any samples of digitalis she doesn't need with her medical connections, you know?
But it looks as though your bottle is already full.
It was, but I like to keep a supply handy. You never can be too careful. I may want to pick them up.
Okay. Allow me to assist you.
Bensonhurst, can I ask you something?
Be my guest.
Why were you carrying a wrench?
Oh, a wrench? That's a good question. You see, I happen to Miss Withers mentioned something about a loose pipe on the gas heater in Mr. Starkweather's room. I just thought I'd give it an extra turn or two.
Oh, how mechanical of you. We wouldn't want any of that gas to seep into his room now, would we?
Naturally not, but first things first, shall we?
I feel like a pigeon pecking popcorn.
You missed one there.
Where?
Your left kneecap.
Where?
Your left kneecap.
Got it. They've just rolled everywhere.
Round things tend to do that, madam.
Your Withers! Oh, Mrs. Starkweather! What are you doing on the floor with Bensonhurst?
Picking up my pills. Watch where you put your feet, my dear. Both of them?
I assume Mrs. Starkweather needed an injection. Is everything all right?
Nothing I can't handle. His lungs seem to be a bit congested, so I took him from his wheelchair and placed him on his other wheelchair. He can breathe easier in an upright position. Then I gave him an injection of steroids to help clear his bronchial passages.
My, where would Uncle Tanner be without you?
Dead. Without my help, his heart would have stopped beating a long time ago.
Oh, wasn't there something you wanted to ask, Miss Withers?
Was there?
The digitalis?
Miss Withers, I wanted to know if you had any samples of digitalis you don't need. I have a heart condition and I like to keep a supply handy.
I can see why you would. Yours tend to run out, don't they? I'm sorry, Mrs. Starkweather, but I'm fresh out of spare jobs. Your uncle needs every pill he's got to keep him going.
Well, then I'd better pick them up. And I'm helping us, my dear.
I suppose.
Is this a private game or can anybody play?
Mr. Davis, we're picking up my spilled pills.
Is that it? I thought you were holding a tiny little marble tournament. I'll pass.
Let me give you these, Mrs. Starkweather. I really must return to my patient.
And here are mine.
Thank you. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart.
You'll excuse me?
Miss Withers, how's the boss?
Bossy, he sent me for a fresh pitcher of drinking water. If I'm not back in a minute, he'll start ringing his bell for me. See what I mean?
I gather he rings for you a lot.
Incessantly. When he stops ringing that bell, I'll know he's kicked the bucket.
Spoken like a true member of the medical profession. What's with the wrench, customers? Got some kind of problem I can give you a hand with?
No, sir. It will have to wait. I shall to excuse myself.
Well,
You're up kind of late, Mrs. Starkweather.
couldn't sleep. What about you, Mr. Davis?
Oh, I'm a real night owl. Besides, I was hoping young Simon Starkweather would show up. I haven't met him yet.
Simon's a sweet boy. I hope he's all right. I mean, the storm and all.
Yeah, he might have pulled off the road to let it pass. It's starting to cloud over again. We could be in for another deluge.
Well, I believe I'll go up to my room and lie down.
Good night again, Mrs. Starkweather.
Good night.
I'm coming, Mr. Starkweather. Oh, you're still here.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on things.
Well, I see. My patient.
You're up too, Mr. Davis.
Yeah, and I'm not the only one. There seems to be more traffic passing through Starkweather Mansion at midnight than goes down the interstate at rush hour.
I see what you mean. I've been hearing footsteps go past my bedroom door all evening. We could have guessed so. That Mr. Starkweather's announcement would have given his heirs a sleepless night or two.
Between us, Miss Vincent, this cloning business, how do you feel?
I'm a lawyer, Mr. Davis. I'm paid to think, not feel. Can Mr. Starkweather be cloned? Definitely. There's no question that the technology's not out there. Should he be cloned? Well, I wouldn't want to be the first to question nature of being another lowest fan secret.
Me too. I'm a simple guy. I've got enough to do with in one lifetime. The sooner we can get the signing over with and I can get back to the real world, the better.
The will's done. He can sign it first thing tomorrow morning.
The old boy's still awake. That nurse was in here a minute ago. I heard him ringing his bell for her.
Then there's no reason he can't sign it now.
That's what I'm thinking. The people in this house are as tense as a bunch of long-tailed cats in a room full of rocking chairs. I know I'll feel better once the boss's plan is done deal.
I'll go to my room and get it. Why don't you go let Mr. Starkweather know? What in the world?
The circuit breaker must have tripped.
But the storm passed hours ago.
I know. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I'll go find Bensonhurst and have him show me where the main breaker is.
I'll let Mr. Starkweather know we're taking care of it.
Tools of the trade.
It's all right, Mr. Starkweather. Mrs. Starkweather? Hello? Is anyone here? Miss Trent? Bensonhurst? Anyone? Kathy? I think there's something wrong with Mrs. Starkweather, and I don't know where that nurse is. Oh no, he hasn't signed the new will yet, has he? No, perhaps he just fainted. We need light. Mr. Davis is trying to...
What happened? Someone struck me.
It's Mr. Starkweather! Help him!
He's dead. Someone put the blood pressure chemicals in it and pumped it into the magnum. 300 milliliters of mercury. Mr. Starkweather has been strangled to death.
Poor Mr. Starkweather. Who could have done such a thing?
Oh, give me a break. I'd say you and nearly everybody else in this house are right up there in the top 10 list.
Me?
Hold it down. Let me check the body.
Those drops on his robe, is it blood?
I'm not sure.
What else could it be?
I'll handle it. I'm a detective, remember? What can you tell us, Miss Withers?
When I gave him his pitcher of water and made sure he was breathing all right, I went to my room and laid across my bed. A few minutes later, the lights went out.
I noticed that too.
I heard him ringing his bell. I went to go light a candle when I was struck from behind with a heavy object. I must have blacked out. When I came to, the lights...
We can take it from there.
You seem to be in charge, Mr. Davis. What do we do now?
We keep trying the phones until we can get through to the cops. If the lines aren't up by morning, someone will have to drive into town and report there's been a murder in Starkweather Mansion.
Murder?
Lady Obed and Sophie. Maybe not. Young Master Simon, you made it. And boy, we got a surprise for you.
Now, wasn't that the most diabolical murder you ever saw? Don't you just love the way Mr. St. John's mind works? Oh, no wonder the man went bonkers. Now, don't forget, as soon as intermission starts, we need you to open your programs and pull out your ballots and choose who you think murdered Simon Starkweather. Ushers will be out in the lobby and in here. In case you don't need to get up and use the bathroom or get a drink or whatever. Well, I guess I'll see you guys at 15. Bye! Wait, turn the lights back up, please. Look, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure the cast knows what to do after they find out who the killer will be based on the counted ballots. There are a couple things that Mr. St. John intended to put in the second act, you know, like lines, clues, and actions that hint to the culprit's identity. Now, the cast will work these into the show. Oh wait, speaking of the cast, hey guys, come on out! Come on out, guys!
I just wanted you to know this so you can continue to play armchair detective and try and figure out who killed Simon Starkweather. Well, enjoy the conclusion of Murders in the Heir.
Dead. I can't believe grandfather's dead.
Well, he is Cousin Simon. He's the deadest person I ever saw.
Funny you should mention that. Bensonhurst and I were talking about the degrees of death.
Mother, please.
And he was murdered?
There's no doubt about it. You saw the body.
Poor grandfather. If only I had gotten here sooner.
How do we know you didn't get here sooner?
What?
For all we know, you could have arrived hours ago, parked your car out of sight, slipped into the house, and killed the lights moments before you killed Simon Starkweather.
That's ridiculous. Why would I kill him?
I'd say a third of a $50 billion fortune is a pretty good reason to knock somebody off. If Mr. Starkweather had signed that new will.
But I didn't know about that new will. I wasn't here when grandfather announced that crazy cloning scheme that you told me about.
It would have been easy enough to hide outside the French doors and eavesdrop on the conversation.
Why would I hide? I was expected here. I told you what happened.
Tell me again.
All right. I had to creep at a snail's pace on that long country road from town. Rain was lashing the windshield so hard I could barely see. The wind was snapping branches off the trees and flinging them against the car. It was like driving through a hurricane. When I got to the wooden bridge that spans the stream which flows around the estate, I had to stop. The stream had turned into a raging river and had torn the bridge to pieces. I remembered a place about a mile from there where a tree had fallen across the stream a few years ago. I used to play on it when I was a kid. I managed to find the dead tree and walk across it even though the water nearly covered the trunk. Apparently, I got here just after grandfather was murdered.
That's a good story, but it sounds rehearsed.
Not nearly enough. It's the truth, I swear it.
Maybe, but I'm not crossing you off my suspect list.
And just who else do you have on the list, Mr. Davis?
Everyone in this house, except Miss Van Zandt and Miss Collins. They had a heck of a lot to gain if your grandfather had only lived a few more minutes. As it turns out, they're left out in the cold.
Especially me. Lois has other clients. Now I'm among the unemployed.
I'm sure once the estate is settled, we can arrange for you to be given a generous severance check.
You can take it out of your portion if you like, but Mother and I will pass.
So will I. Nothing personal, of course.
Of course.
Mr. Davis, what do we do now?
Simon's story reminded me we could play a game of bridge.
The way I see it, we all sit tight until daybreak. Then I'll have you show me the way to your car and drive me into town. I'll report what I know to the police, and we'll notify them that the bridge is out. My guess is the cops will fly in by helicopter. They'll need to get the body to the coroner's office, examine the crime scene, and take your statements. Once a homicide detective has been assigned to the case, I'm out of here.
But you're a detective too, and you were right here when the murder occurred. You have a better chance of solving the case than anybody else.
Sorry, but not that Mr. Starkweather's dead. I'm off the payroll. Once I give the big boys my statement, I'm finished.
I'll hire you to stay. I won't be able to pay you until I receive my portion of the inheritance, but if you're willing to...
I figured you're good for the dough. You're on, kid. Incidentally, that drops you to the bottom of the suspect list. Well, might as well start earning my salary.
How can we help, Mr. Davis?
First, I want to question everyone as to the whereabouts when Mr. Starkweather was murdered.
Establish alibis.
Yeah. Also, I want to know anything all of you and the staff may have seen or heard in the last few hours that might help us to discover the killer's identity.
Clues.
You got it. Motives, alibis, and clues. That's what a detective has to work with. The motives in this case are obvious. The rest aren't, but hopefully they will be by the time I finish.
That sounds like a good plan to me. Whom do you want to start with, Mr. Davis?
Since you're paying the freight, call me Duke. How about you, Miss Thompson? Do you mind being first?
Well, I'm awfully tired, but if I have to.
You don't have to, Paula. None of us do.
What do you mean, dear?
I mean, Davis isn't a police officer. We don't have to tell him the time of day.
You're right, Cousin Jordan. But why would you refuse to cooperate unless you have something to hide?
Now look, Simon, don't start accusing me of murder unless you can prove it.
Simon has a point. Do you want me to tell the cops that everyone cooperated except you?
Oh, all right. I'll answer your dumb questions, but first, I'm going to take Mother upstairs to have her rest. She's up in years and needs to lie down.
Thank you, son. I'm not a spring chicken, but I'm not like Miss Methuselah either.
Don't get too excited now, Mother. Are you okay? Did you take the visit towels?
No, but if I needed a pill, I can find one under the couch. I had a little spill in my pill
between the time that Mr. Starkweather announced he was changing his will and the time that his body was discovered.
How long was that?
Several hours. Well, Miss Thompson, did you observe anything that occurred during that time frame that might help us?
Well, I was very disappointed by Grenville Simon's announcement, as you might well imagine. I mean, I can understand why you might want to call him Channing Tatum. But, Grenville Simon? No offense, Cousin Simon, but your grandfather was not a very nice person. I spent most of my time in my room, but I did come downstairs on a little errand. I was outside the kitchen door when I heard Minerva and that cute little maid Nancy talking.
What's the matter with you, girl? You haven't heard a word of that say. Did you leave your mom in the other room?
I'm sorry, Minerva. I'm so confused.
Confused about what? Hasn't no good scamp Jordan been bothering you?
Jordan? I mean, Mr. Starkweather? What makes you think that?
When I walked in on you two in the living room, we were mighty close to each other, real lovey-dovey like. What has he been saying to you?
I think he wanted me to
Do something you don't want to do?
Yes, but not what you're thinking.
I'll bet. You better stay away from him, or I'll cut him down to size.
Minerva, no! He's not interested in me. I heard him talking with Miss Collins.
I get the picture. You lost your millions and he lost interest in you, didn't he? He's flowing the money right to the Collins girl, isn't he?
Maybe he's ready to settle down now. If Mr. Starkweather hadn't changed his will, maybe Jordan would be free to...
Free to do what?
Nothing. If we're finished, I'd like to go to my room now.
Go on. Nancy?
Yes, ma'am?
Lock your door.
Excuse me!
Yes, that little scene in the foyer, it was a flashback. It showed a conversation that Paula overheard before the murder occurred. I just wanted to make sure you got that. Now, other character stories, well, portions of them, will be told in flashbacks also. I just wanted to make sure you understood. Well,
That moment is really asking for it.
So tell me, Mrs. Trent, did you see or hear anything suspicious earlier tonight, before Mr. Starkweather was murdered?
Suspicious? I suppose you'd call toting a gun around the house suspicious, even though Mr. Starkweather wasn't shot to death.
A gun? Who has a gun?
Besides me.
Paula Thompson, that too. She claims she's a regular Annie Oakley and mentioned how easy it would be for someone to come through those French doors and murder Mrs. Starkweather.
Did she now?
Ask her yourself.
Anything else?
I did happen to overhear a rather odd conversation between Rufus and Mrs. Starkweather. I'd gone upstairs to distribute candy, in case of a power outage. I was about to turn the corridor onto the west wing when I saw Mrs. Starkweather at the far end of the stairs.
Do I have enough? Oh dear.
Miss Starkweather?
Rufus! He's ready to be out of the year's roast.
That's all right, man. At our age, we all think I'm growing sideways, don't we?
I certainly hope not. What are you doing with that TV? It doesn't look like a portable.
It is now. I bought it from one of the guests room that ain't used.
Whatever for.
Well, you see, I ain't sleeping, so I thought I'd watch some TV. But TV's all messed up. The coloring, I mean. Everybody in the dab lane channel's green. Phineas is green, Ferb is green, even Dr. Doofenshmirtz is green. It looked like every station was starring Kermit the Frog.
How disconcerting.
You can say that again, wherever that means. I admit, I wouldn't mind for you. I can still taste that kraut whenever it's served for supper.
These? Oh no, Rufus, you mustn't take any of these. If you took one of these pills, they could kill you.
You know what? In that case, I'll pass. You want to be careful with them. You don't want to leave them lying around. Someone can eat a bunch of those by mistake and kill them over dead.
That's entirely possible.
Wait for the death certificate. Cause of death, bad breath.
This laughing matter. I'll be careful with these pills, you see. I need them. I need every single one of them.
Rufus had an axe in the house.
Oh, yes, Master Simon. I have instructed him to return from firewood earlier.
I'm surprised you trust him with an axe.
Personally, I wouldn't even trust him with a butter knife, or less an axe. I was simply relaying Mr. Starkweather's instructions.
Was there anything else of interest you happened to notice?
Just one. I remember I was coming from the kitchen, and I had seen Master Jordan. His actions were quite irritating. I remember I had the impression he was about to enter when Miss Withers popped out. It was apparent Miss Withers unexpectedly had scars with Master Jordan.
Well, what do you want?
I was going to check on Brandon with Simon.
No need. That's what I'm paid to do.
How is he?
It's not breathing. I'm sure what you know.
How much time do you think he has left?
Let's just say he needed to start reading a long novel or even a short story.
Do you think he'll make it through the night?
I think Mr. Simon could keep his heart beating through sheer determination long enough to sign that new will. That is what you wanted to know, isn't it?
Why, you misjudge me, Miss Withers.
Give me a break, Jordan. You'd love to see him drop dead before being rich just like everybody else in this house.
Including you. $1 million is a fortune. A lot of people would kill for that much money.
If that's a hint, forget it. As Mr. Starkweather's nurse, I'd be the prime suspect if he died by anything but natural causes.
Suspecting and proving are two different things.
I'm going to forget you said that, Jordan. Amen. It's true. Jordan Starkweather did suggest that I be in position to enter his great uncle's will. I presume that as Bensonhurst told you that I refused.
He did, but you could have changed your mind.
And then killed him with the blood pressure cuff? That's hardly by natural causes.
I agree. The manner by which he was killed makes no sense at all, whoever did it.
It's as if the killer was flaunting the deed in our faces.
Why would they want to do that?
That's a good question. Tell me, Miss Withers, if you had to pick a likely suspect to be a murderer, who would it be?
Off the record, that Thompson girl was too goody-goody for my taste. Oh, those 7 girls can pour on the charm when they want to, but Scarlett O'Hara was pretty ruthless when you get down to it.
We've been told Cousin Paula has a gun.
See what I mean? I say her and Jordan were desperate to get their hands on Mr. Sutherland's millions. It was after Miss Van Zandt told us about the new will. They didn't seem to report it.
Well, what are we gonna do?
Do? What can we do?
Don't be such a whip, Cousin Jordan. That money rightfully belongs to us. There's gotta be a way to get it.
Maybe if we have him declared insane, we can break the new will.
No, I've thought of that, but it won't work. If cloning was just a wild theory, we could, but we can't. It's been done. We lose the case.
Yeah, and probably Smith and Pittance were going to inherit one of the lawyers.
Like that Miss Van Zandt. She...
What is it? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, if you can't beat them, join them. I just thought of a plan to get Miss Van Zandt to put me on her team.
What is it?
Think for yourself, Jordan. If you'll excuse me, I need to talk to that lawyer.
If you can't beat him. Now where was that cat?
It's true. Jordan did suggest we get married. It wasn't what you'd call a romantic proposal. It was more like a business proposition.
You were going to have access to billions. What did he have to offer you?
Himself, I guess. In my opinion, that fortune hunter wouldn't be worth 2 cents.
Then you did turn him down.
Jordan is attractive in a smarmy sort of way, but any woman who'd marry him would be a fool. And believe me, I'm no fool.
I knew that from the time we started working together.
You were smart enough to offer to carry grandfather's loan.
Look, Simon, once Mr. Starkweather came with the idea to clone himself, nothing was going to change his mind. He would have found a surrogate mother anywhere, so it might as well have been me.
I understand. I get it. I just think the whole idea is a bit creepy.
You're a lot nicer about it than the other heirs were.
For example,
Paula, for one. She hadn't given up hope of getting her hands on Mr. Starkweather's money.
how do you know?
I was in Lois's room with her when Paula knocked on her door. She asked Lois to step into the corridor where she could speak to her in private. Lois went out with her. She didn't close the door all the way, but I couldn't help but overhear their conversation.
We're very busy, Miss Thompson.
Preparing that new wheel?
Yes.
Miss Van Zandt, you're a lawyer. Are you sure this whole cloning business is legal? You could lose your license to practice, couldn't you? If
The proposer is being court in Belgium. How laws don't apply there, as we're told.
what about ethics? Haven't lawyers been disbarred before for behavior that's not only unethical but illegal?
What's your point?
I want in the deal. You can penny from that trust fund to be the baby's nanny or whatever. I don't care what you call the position. If you refuse, I shall report you to the Bar Association. Isn't that what you call it?
It is. In the first place, if you make any accusations against me before the cloning procedure is done successfully, I will sue you for the $50,000 you are to receive and anything else you want, and I'll get it. In the second, once the baby is on the way, I will close down my office and devote all my time to Kathy and the baby's needs. So it wouldn't bother me in the slightest if I were to be expired. You don't have to be a lawyer to administrate. Anyone can do it.
Oh!
So you see, young woman, your threats are meaningless to me. In fact, as an officer of the court, I should expose your attempt of extortion to the police.
I wasn't
Save it. Take your silly son self out of my sight, and I might be willing to get it.
fine. I'll go. You lawyer! Excuse me.
Yes, Miss Trent?
I found what's left of the Christmas candles I stored away, and I thought I should pass them out in case of a power You should keep one in some matches nearby.
Good thinking. I'll need one for Kathy. She's in my room.
Miss Thompson?
Oh, all right. If you'll excuse me, there's something I need to get.
What's the matter with her? Let's just say she's a sore loser. Miss Thompson's playing her ace, and I jumped in. I'll take this to Kathy.
If I remember correctly, when Kathy saw Mr. Starkweather's body and screamed, you ran in through the front door. What had you been doing outside, Lucas?
Was I outside? I guess I was. I remember now. I had bought a TV so that you should.
We heard why, Rufus.
You did? You sure travel fast around here.
All the actors on your set were green.
Yeah. They look like Martian later or something. Anyways, I was gonna look at the news set to the TV. It was all messed up. It was all fuzzy like a roller. I was gonna go outside to turn the antennas.
On the roof?
It wouldn't do too much good in the basement, I wouldn't. I called out of storage before I heard the Starkweather and on the hall called bloody murder. Murder anyway, even if it wasn't bloody.
Did you see or hear anything outside?
I saw an owl and heard a bunch of bullfrogs. Oh, okay. I saw Mr. Jordan unpacking while I was coming in. Don't know what he was doing up there.
Earlier tonight, Rufus, do you remember anybody talking about the new will?
Who did? Whenever the old bitch and her didn't talk about that much else, there was going on about some stuff with the quilt.
What were they saying?
They ain't fair, that's what. They worked hard for stuff with it all these years, and they should have got their millions. Me, I wouldn't mind. I figure 50,000 will buy me a new TV with a real big screen. I might as well get two.
That's Heir-STHS and Minerva.
The more we thought about it, the more mad she got. And whew, that woman got ticker. She's about ready to start herself in the room and give him a piece of her heart.
Minerva, you mustn't enter there.
Who's going to stop me?
I shall if necessary.
You and whose army?
Look, I totally agree that we were wronged. I agree. But confrontation is not the answer.
Oh yeah, then what is?
Look, have patience. Mr. Starkweather hasn't signed the will yet. And maybe, perhaps, we'll change my mind.
If we should ever live that long.
No, Minerva. If he should
What were you doing outside about the time of the murder, Mr. Starkweather?
Getting a breath of fresh air. Anything wrong with that?
Not if you remained outside.
What do you mean?
When I made a cursory examination of the crime scene, I noticed that Miss Withers kept the window raised a couple of inches to let in some of that fresh air. Anyone could have just
Are
climbed.
you accusing me of killing great Uncle Simon?
Calm down, Mr. Starkweather. I haven't accused anybody yet.
Besides, from what we've heard, conning somebody else into doing your bidding is more your style.
Who told you that?
I'll ask the questions if you don't mind. I repeat, what were you doing outside?
If you must know, Kathy and I had a bit of a disagreement. I blew up. I went outside to cool off, or did you already hear about that?
I question, you answer, remember? Let me ask you this. If you didn't kill Mr. Starkweather, who do you think did?
I'm not saying she did it, but have you talked to that little maid Nancy?
Why her, Cousin Jordan?
The girl has a crush on me. I mean, I flirt with the ladies a lot, but I did nothing to lead her on. I know she was upset about the new will, not that she would just lose her money, but that I would lose even more. I had strolled around the outside of the house and was outside the kitchen when I heard Nancy and Miss Withers talking.
Can I help you with something, Miss Withers? I just needed a fresh pitcher of drinking water to put by Mr. Senator's bedside. I got it.
That poor man. When he had the attack and lost his breath in the living room, I realized what you meant when you said earlier that even the slightest shock could prove to be fatal.
Exactly.
Slightest shock.
Gazelle, I must go.
Yes.
We wouldn't want anything to happen to him, would we?
I was shocked when I heard Mr. Starkweather had included me in his will. I didn't even think he noticed me.
Then you must have received two surprises. That you'd inherit $1 million, and then immediately discover it was being taken away.
3 surprises, actually. Now you're wealthy again.
Oh, Mr. Starkweather. I was thrilled to be told that your grandfather was leaving me with even $50,000. With that, I could go to college like you and get a good education.
Now you can do whatever you want to do. What do you want to do, Nancy?
I don't know. I haven't been thinking about myself much.
Who's been on your mind, Nancy? Jordan Starkweather, perhaps? You're very fond of him, aren't you?
Who told you that?
Cousin Jordan himself, for one. He implied you might have even been willing to kill for him.
He what? How can you say such a thing?
I'm sorry to hurt you, Nancy, but now you see what Cousin Jordan's really like. He's only out for himself and will trample anyone who gets in his way.
I guess I knew that. Minerva tried to warn me. I even heard him propose to Miss Collins. She turned him down, but made a laugh about it when she told her friend Miss Van Zandt. I was taking towels to the guest rooms later when I heard them talking. You think Jordan is cold-hearted, but Miss Collins is just as bad as he is.
Can you believe it? Those soulful gazes might work on some innocent young thing like that maid Nancy, but he learned quick enough that I'm no pushover.
I wish I had been there to see it. It's fine Jordan met his match. I could tell Nancy about some of the other maids that have been here to work here before her. But his Playboy days will be over soon enough.
What do you mean?
Up until now, Mr. Starkweather has given Jordan, as well as Simon, Fiona, and Paula, a very generous allowance. The $50,000 request those receive will be the last that they see of the Starkweather fortune. They'll just know what it's like to work for a living.
Simon's almost out of school, so he'll do fine, but the others, they'll go through their money in no time.
Then what kind of jobs can they get? Can you see Paula behind the desk of a car rental agency?
Or Jordan driving the cars out of the parking lot for the customers?
And what will Fiona do? Sell Avon?
Can I get anything for you, Cousin Fiona? A glass of water?
No, dear, I'm fine. Mr. Davis, I'd like to let you know that my Jordan couldn't have done what was done to Uncle Simon, who was with me in my room all evening.
You know that can't be true. Your son told us himself he went outside, and I saw you in here earlier with BensonHurst and Miss Withers.
Maybe it was last night.
Maybe it was.
Now I know why Jessica Fletcher couldn't keep up with all those suspects on Murder, She Wrote. It gets so confusing!
Concentrate on tonight, Mrs. Starker. Do you recall seeing anything suspicious?
Suspicious. Well, I did see Uncle Simon with that horrible contraction around his neck. I called that suspicious.
He means before that, Cousin Fiona.
Before that. Well, I'm not sure if this is the kind of thing you want to know, but...
Yes?
It was right after we heard about the new will and had all gone upstairs. I was walking past that secretary's room while I heard her and Mrs. Trent having a loud conversation. They were speaking quite loudly, so I couldn't help but overhear.
What are you doing in my room, Miss Trent?
I was checking all the guest rooms and make sure there were extra cabinets in each. I suppose you're very pleased with yourself, Miss Collins.
Why do you say that?
Everything worked out as planned.
I don't know what you mean.
I think you do. Those magazines you brought in from town and left laying around all over Starkweather Mansion where Mr. Starkweather could see them. You've done it for months.
What magazines?
Don't play dumb, Miss Collins. Those news articles in scientific journals, I've seen them. They've all had one thing in common. Articles about cloning. I didn't realize until now you planted the idea that Mr. Starkweather tried to clone himself.
What if I did? There are no laws against sharing ideas, are there?
I'm sure your boyfriend would say so, given you're in this together. I think you're planning to
To be perfectly frank, I couldn't care less what you think. Get out!
starting to give orders already, are you? I'll leave. But remember one thing, young woman. You're not the queen bee yet, and you won't be until Mr. Starkweather's name is on that dotted line, assuming that ever happens. Ha 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 ha.
Kathy did tell me about Miss Trent's accusations. How she interviewed the clothing business, possibly with my help. I'm surprised that Fiona reported their conversation quite accurately, which is something of a surprise to me.
Is it true? Did you and Kathy give Grandfather the idea to clone himself?
Even if we did, we weren't breaking any laws. Don't you think, Mr. Davis?
No laws that I can think of.
So let's focus on the law that has been broken. I'm referring to the murder, of course.
You're right as usual, Miss Van Zandt. Can you volunteer any information that might help us?
I'll tell you this. I was on my way to the kitchen to ask Minerva for a pot of coffee. It was apparent that Kathy and I were staying up late. I felt the campaign might help us. I went to the kitchen. Minerva wasn't there, but Rufus was. I heard him talking to Fiona Starkweather. Their conversation was very peculiar.
Good heavens, Rufus! What are you doing with that axe?
Oh, just came in to clean it, dropping it too. Wanna see?
Heavens no, put it away.
I guess I'm mine before I hurt somebody.
Well, that's a horrible idea.
Ain't it though? I get those sometimes. I see you still got your poison pills.
You can tell us it isn't a poison. It's a stimulant. You just have to be careful not to take one too many.
You know, you had a lot more when I saw you go upstairs. Oops. Hope you haven't gone overdosed. You know, I think I'll figure out how to do that mouth-to-mouth stuff.
If you bring those lips any closer to my face, I will take that axe right out of your hands and chop them off!
I was only trying to help Miss Starkweather.
I am fine. I had a little spill with my pill bottle and wasn't able to find them all.
Well, hope Minerva don't find them. She's fixing to start with his meal tonight, and she is mighty mad.
What are you suggesting?
Oh, nothing. Is something you need in the kitchen?
I wanted to see if Minerva had any of those delicious hors d'oeuvres left over.
Oh, I can look.
No thanks, I seem to have lost my appetite.
Mr. Starkweather's meals. What do you want to know about them?
Who did he dine with? Did he eat the same food as everyone else?
Well, Mr. Starkweather had a restricted diet. Low salt and low fat. I had to prepare his meal separately. What do you want to know? Is there something wrong with my cooking?
You're a great cook, Minerva. That leg of lamb we served tonight was wonderful.
Well, I was often told to have terrific legs. What's the problem?
Forget it. You told me what I need to know. Changing the subject, do you remember who was in the kitchen with candles when the circuit breaker tripped and the lights went out? Before I got there.
The blackout? Well, let me think. Oh, yeah. I was checking the pantry to check on our breakfast supplies when everything went dark. I pulled out the candle Miss Trump gave me and lit it.
Minerva, Nancy, is everything all right?
I'm here. I'm fine.
I was in my room when everything went dark. What happened?
Betsy here forgot to pay the light bill.
Keep that up and forget to pay your wages.
What in the blazes is going on?
Apparently the storm knocked out the electricity. My candles didn't come in handy, you see.
Oh, remind me to give you a gold star later. Bensonhurst, can you get the electricity back on?
That's what I came to find out. Mr. Bensonhurst?
The circuit breaker is over here.
I hope they hurry. I don't like the dark.
Was that quick enough for you? Yeah, I'll go back to my chores.
What did he come in for? That idiot got water all over my clean floors.
Why Mr. Starkweather doesn't fire him, I'll never know.
I heard that.
Any luck?
Yeah, it was there all right. It should be enough to pinpoint our murder. I just wish I had more, though. It could take weeks to get the results. If the will is probated and the killer gets his or her inheritance before then, they could disappear for good. You could buy a new identity easily enough with $1 million or more. There must be some way I can out the guilty party tonight.
I was hoping we'd learn more from questioning the suspects.
Me too. They were so busy trying to make each other look guilty, they didn't reveal much about themselves. Sometimes the slightest... Simon, move your feet.
What is it?
Here, on the rug. I think it... Yes! What they were doing was so insignificant, I barely noticed at the time. Simon, I know who murdered your grandfather.
Who?
I'll tell everyone as soon as I gather the evidence. Quick, go tell Bensonhurst I need to see everyone in here immediately.
Yes, sir.
Minerva sent me in to see if you'd like a pot of coffee.
There's no time for that. Come upstairs with me and let's tell everyone to get down here on the double.
Yes, sir.
I don't think the police chief will mind if I use sandwich bags to gather evidence. I don't think he'll mind at all. Calm down, everyone. Please take a seat.
It's very late, Mr. Davis. Or very early, depending on how you look at it. If no one's gonna ask, I will. Why did you call us together at this hour?
It's been a long night, hasn't it? I'm sure you're all very tired. I know I am. But I felt you would rest easier knowing who murdered Simon Starkweather.
Are you saying you figured out who killed the great Uncle Simon?
I think I have, as I'll show you in the next few minutes.
I'm amazed, Mike. How did you figure it out?
First, I had to answer the question that had bothered me from the beginning. It would have been so easy to make it appear that Mr. Starkweather died of natural causes, a suggestion Jordan Starkweather made to Miss Withers. For example, Mrs. Starkweather or her son could have given him some of her digitalis to trigger a heart attack. So could several others among you who were aware she had them and had left several on this floor, no doubt, when she spilled them earlier tonight. Miss Withers could have achieved the same result by injecting an air bubble into his bloodstream using a hypodermic needle. Again, any of you could have stolen a needle and done the same thing. Also, it's highly probable some of you considered frightening the old man to death. Minerva with her knife, Miss Thompson with her gun, Rufus with the axe, Bensonhurst with the wrench. The possibilities are endless. Why then would the murderer choose to put a blood pressure cuff around the victim's neck and inflate it until he strangled to death? The answer is so simple, I feel foolish for not realizing sooner what must have really happened.
And might one ask what that possibly is?
Obviously, when the cuff was put on it, Mr. Starkweather was already dead. Am I right, Miss Fancy?
You really are very clever, Mr. Davis.
It had to have been you. We were in here together when the lights went out. Mr. Starkweather began ringing his bell. I went to go find Bensonhurst, and you went to go check on Mr. Starkweather. The killer must have murdered the man and slipped into Miss Withers' room seconds before you found the body.
That's what I figured too.
But why would you put the cuff around his neck?
As our able detective here has surmised, the killer had made it look like Mr. Starkweather had had a heart attack. Death would have been due to natural causes indeed. But there's no doubt in my mind, however, that Mr. Starkweather had been murdered. However, I was not about to let my employer's murderer get away scot-free. So, seeing the blood pressure cuff on the bed, I put it around his neck, inflating it to the maximum, and wheeled him out into this very room.
Well, your plan worked. No one would question the fact that he had been murdered.
So, young Master Simon hired Mr. Davis to catch the killer?
Which I have. That was very naughty of you, Miss Van Zandt. Your little ploy distracted me from the main problem. Instead of focusing on who did it, I kept wondering, why did they do it that way? Once I solved that piece of the puzzle, the rest came easier.
Well, if you discovered the identity of the killer, the ends seem to have justified the means.
I imagine the police will agree, and might even overlook the fact that you're guilty with tampering with evidence at the crime scene.
If not, I'm on very good terms with the local judges.
Wait a minute. How do we know Miss Van Zandt didn't kill Grandpa Simon herself?
Yeah!
No motive.
Oh yeah.
Don't keep us in suspense, Mike. Tell us, who did kill Mr. Starkweather?
I'll do better than that. I'll show you. Bear with me.
What?
Stay seated. I imagine all of you still have the lights that Mrs. Trent distributed earlier tonight in case of a blackout. Take them out, please, and light them.
Ooh, isn't this nice? Merry Christmas Eve!
When I examined Mr. Starkweather's body, I found what I first thought to be a few drops of blood on his bathrobe. On closer inspection, they turned out to be another substance entirely. I forgot about this for a moment. When I was interrogating you individually, I noticed that one of you was scraping one thumbnail against the other. At the time, I took it to be a nervous gesture. I guess it was nerves triggered by guilt, as it turned out. I didn't realize the significance of that gesture until I recalled Minerva's testimony. She reminded me of those of you who were in the kitchen with candles when the lights went out. A few minutes ago, I noticed these on the floor by the sofa, and I had the link I needed to identify our murderer. Thin scrapings of red tallow. Tallow from the killer's thumbnail. Tallow that matched the drops on Mr. Starkweather's body. Tallow from the one red candle the murderer was holding when he killed Simon Starkweather. Tallow from the one red candle among you which you are holding. Jordan!
There might have been other red candles.
There aren't. I remember when we put the candles away last Christmas and I'd have to go out and buy new ones for next year.
Is that the only evidence you have to offer the police? This candle?
No, Jordan, I have better than that. I just examined Mr. Starkweather's body. As I walked about the room a few minutes ago, I glanced at everyone's hands and noticed a few very thin scratches on your wrist, made by Mr. Starkweather, no doubt, as he struggled for his life. I'll bet my reputation that these skin samples I was able to scrape from under Mr. Starkweather's fingernails came from you. It'll be easy enough to prove. I've met with quite a few specialists in DNA testing in the last 6 months.
I don't suppose you consider cloning those scrapings and putting the new me in prison, would you? I didn't think so. Well, Miss Van Zandt, I guess my biggest mistake was trying to cross a lawyer. I might have caused you to lose access to Great Uncle Simon's billions, but you definitely got your revenge.
Why don't you tell us what happened?
I might as well. You figured out the main details anyway. I was furious with Great Uncle Simon for building up our hopes and dashing them to the ground. I thought a man that cruel didn't deserve to live. I listened at his door and to the hallway until I was sure he was alone. He was sitting in his wheelchair, still awake. I went to him, grabbed the handles of his wheelchair, and leaned right down to his face. I told him what he was planning to do was monstrous. I told him he didn't deserve to live. I told him I was going to kill him. I reached for his throat. He was terrified. He wheeled back in his chair and slammed into his bedside table. The impact sent his reading lamp flying and his pitcher of water on top of it. When the water hit the reading lamp, it short-circuited and blew out the circuit breaker.
So you didn't cause the blackout deliberately?
No, it nearly ruined everything. But luckily, I had the candle and a lighter in my pocket and managed to light one candle and hold it while I grabbed the oxygen mask off his chair with the other. I clamped the mask down hard over his nose and mouth. He wasn't able to breathe, of course. He made a feeble attempt to fight back with one hand while he rang that bell with the other. But all he could manage to do was make a few insignificant scratches on my arm, as you noticed. That, and caused me to spill the red drops of candle wax on his robe. He wasn't able to do much, but I guess it was enough to pin the murder on me.
And then?
I put the oxygen mask back on his chair, blew out my candle, and put it back in my pocket. I slipped through the connecting door to Miss Withers' room. I guess this is when you were turning my apparent natural death into an apparent murder, Miss Van Zandt. A few moments later, Kathy screamed. I joined the rest of you as you ran in here.
I'm sure you were as shocked as everyone else when you saw the blood pressure cuff on Mr. Starkweather's neck.
I was, but what could I do? It was easy to tell what Miss Van Zandt had pulled. I would have loved to kill you too, but I didn't dare try. Until now.
Get out of the kitchen now! Somebody help me!
Don't anybody move.
Easy. You don't want to do anything you might regret.
It's too late for that advice, Mr. Davis. Come here. You're coming with me.
What do you plan to do? The bridge is out.
I know where that tree that Simon was talking about earlier. Simon, throw your keys on the table.
Hang on, hold on. Once I get there.
You'll never get away.
I think I might. The lines are down and all your cars are on this side of the stream. It'll take you hours to walk to the police and notify them. I'll be long gone by then.
What about me?
I could have committed the perfect murder if it wasn't for you. What do you think I'm going to do?
Not think if I can help it.
Hold it right there.
Are you alright? Fine.
You burned me!
It's in a preview of the afterlife.
I always keep these with me. You never know when handcuffs will come in handy. Let's have them.
Might remind me to pay you a big bonus.
Hang on a moment. No problem. Well, you're going to jail for a long, long time. What do you have to say for yourself?
Penny for your thoughts?
Wait! Wait!
Are you
Mrs. Culpepper!
What is it?
There's a telegram. There's a telegram that came for you. You see, it's urgent.
Oh, okay. I'm
Wow! Oh my! This is brilliant. This is just brilliant. I never would have thought of that. Uh-huh. This is wonderful.
I didn't realize the significance of that gesture until I recalled Minerva's testimony. She reminded me of those of you who were in the kitchen with candles when the lights went on. A few minutes ago, I found these on the floor by the sofa, and I had the link I needed to identify a murder. Thin scrapings of red tallow. Tallow from the killer's thumbnail. Tallow that matched the drops on Mr. Starkweather's body. Tallow from the red candle that the murderer was holding when she killed Simon Starkweather. Tallow from the one red candle among you which you are holding, Nancy.
There might have been other red candles.
There aren't. I remember when we stored the Christmas candles away last year that I'd have to buy new red ones for next year.
Is this the only evidence you have to offer the police? This candle?
No, Nancy, I have better than that. I just examined Mr. Starkweather's body. As I walked about the room a few minutes ago, I glanced at everyone's hands. I noticed a few very thin scratches on your wrist, made by Mr. Starkweather, no doubt, as he struggled for his life. I'll bet my reputation that these skin samples I was able to scrape from under Mr. Starkweather's fingernails came from you. It'll be easy enough to prove. I've met with quite a few specialists in DNA testing in the last 6 months.
I don't suppose you'd consider cloning those scrapings and putting the newbie in prison, would you? Didn't think so. Well, Miss Van Zandt, I guess my biggest mistake was trying to cross a lawyer. I might have caused you to lose access to Mr. Starkweather's billions, but you definitely got your revenge.
Why don't you tell us what happened?
I might as well. You figured out the main details anyway. I was furious with Mr. Starkweather for building up all of our hopes, especially Jordan's, and then dashing them to the ground. I thought a man that cruel doesn't deserve to live. I listened at his door to the hall and slipped inside when I was sure he was alone. He was sitting in his wheelchair, still awake. I went up to him, gripped the handles of his wheelchair, and leaned right down into his face. I told him what he was planning to do was monstrous. I told him he didn't deserve to live. I told him I was going to kill him. Then I reached for his throat. He was terrified. He wheeled backward in his wheelchair and slammed into the bedside table. The impact sent his reading lamp crashing to the floor and the pitcher of water right on top of it. When the water hit the lamp, it short-circuited and blew the circuit breaker.
So you didn't cause the blackout deliberately?
No, it almost ruined everything. Luckily, I had the candle and some matches in my pocket. I managed to light the candle and hold it with one hand while I grabbed the oxygen mask off his chair with the other. I clamped the mask down hard over his nose and mouth. He couldn't breathe, of course. He made a feeble attempt to fight back with one hand while he rang that bell with the other. But all he could manage to do was make a few insignificant scratches on my wrist, as you noticed. That and caused me to spill a few drops of candle wax on his robe. I'm not sure if he died of a heart attack or suffocation, but it was all over in seconds. The old man wasn't able to do much, but I guess it was enough to pin his murder on me.
And then?
I blew out the candle, put it in my pocket, put the mask back on the wheelchair, and slipped through the connecting doors into Miss Feather's room. Her back was to me. She had just found her candle and was starting to light it. I grabbed a brass candlestick from her bureau and struck her with it. She fell to the floor
I'm sure you were as shocked as everyone else when you saw the blood pressure cuff around Mr. Starkweather's neck.
I was, but what could I do? It was easy enough to guess what Miss Van Zandt had pulled. I would have loved to kill you too, for ruining everything. But I didn't dare try, of course. Until now.
Pumpkin Pie Kitchen now! Somebody help me!
At this point, I don't have anything to lose now, do I? Don't anybody move.
Easy. You don't want to do anything you might regret.
Too late for that advice, Mr. Davis. Come on, you're coming with me.
What do you plan to do with me?
I would have committed the perfect murder if you hadn't interfered. What do you think I'm going to do with you?
Not a thing if I can help it.
Hold it right there.
Are you alright? Fine.
You burned me!
Consider it a preview of the afterlife.
I always keep these with me. You never know when handcuffs will come in handy. Let's have it.
Mike, remind me to pay you a big bonus.
Just give me a moment. No problem. Well, you're going to jail for a long, long time. What do you have to say for yourself?
See you visitors day, Jordan?
Wait!
I'm sorry, folks. I better see what this is all about. Oh. It's from Mr. St. John's. He says he just came to from a drug-induced coma. And when he woke up, a conclusion to the play was crystal clear. Oh, this is brilliant. You have to see this. You just have to see this. Okay, so there's a few things that have to go in the second act, but I'm sure the cast, I'll just go over the changes with the cast, and I'm pretty sure they can.